man, let's go. I love you, bro. Love you, pup.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy T.
It's B, and you're on the ride up. What's going on, bro?
What's up, big dog?
Ain't nothing, man.
Hey.
Another week.
Another week.
Oh, man. We came in early this year. Fuck it. What am I talking about? Came early this week.
We'll start again.
Pause.
Yeah. We start again. We own the content.
Undo.
You're making it awkward. Get the fuck out of here.
Keep it. You got it, bro.
One thing we move right, it's just like, all right, what you got for me? What you got for me?
Hold on, man. Let me get you some snacks over here, bro. I got you. You need food. Ready to go?
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy T.
It's B, and you're on the ride up. What's going on, T?
Right, man. You know, this is now a week, you know what I'm saying? It's out here making money, trying to get that paper, baby. You know how it is.
And we've been doing this over the whole week, going through our
going through it.
You know what I mean? Like this.
All through social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Pride in the IG, pride in the Facebook and the Twitter, Snapchat.
Yeah, just trying to interact with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we have these conversations in our group chat from time to time.
Lots of feedback.
Who's the funniest?
Lots of conversations.
What's the best sitcom? What's the best Martin character?
Yeah.
So like that was the one that jumped out to us. Like who is the best Martin character?
I think out of all the stuff we did was the Eddie movies. The Eddie movies. I think that got the most reaction out of everybody because, you know, I think when people was like, hey man, this is my favorite movie. You forgetting this movie. You forgetting that movie.
That's always happens.
Yeah.
Like you miss one and you're like, oh, you forgot it. Like, no, it's just not in my top 5. Your top 5 can be different. It's all subjective, my dude.
So over the week, we listed I listed the top 10 of my 80 movies, but for time constraints and for people not straining anybody's brains, I did a shortened version of just the top 5. Top 5.
Okay.
And Brian, you did the top 5.
Yeah, I did.
And we had a couple other people do the top 5.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I wanted to make sure that we had the perspective of more than one person from our generation, some people from the generation before us, and some under us, where it's like Eddie's had enough movies and there's enough access to his movies that more than one or two generations can be exposed to his stuff.
Right.
So, like for instance, I had a younger kid whose favorite Eddie movie was Norbit. I had one a little older than him, and his favorite Eddie movie was Life. So it's like two movies that would have never even hit my radar as being my favorite Eddie movie.
Right.
Are like their favorite movie, not just Eddie movie. Like these are some of their favorite movies. It's like Norbit was just a movie that we went to see for me.
Right.
Life was a big movie at the time, but you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't have thought of it as my number one Eddie movie.
No.
So
I know it's funny, and so is
Rasputin.
Yeah. Norbit's funny. So is Life. Definitely. I think we talked about Life on the last episode, and it's just way too sad for me to actually put it in my top 10 or top 5. You know what I mean? But it's definitely funny. You're happy to see Martin, Bernie Mac, all
of them.
Yeah, everybody that's on that screen in that movie.
Guy Tory.
So it's a classic as far as that concerned. Like Eddie was good about putting comedians together. Red Fox and Harlem Nights. Stop. that's me. My breath is me, like trying to figure out how I'm gonna put Harlem
So
Nights in my.
Brian is bouncing back and forth on his top 5
So
of his Eddie movies.
okay, so I'm gonna have to talk about 2 honorable mentions.
So me and Brian have 2 different number ones. So
You want to get mine off?
Brian's number 1 is Trading Places, and my number 1 is Coming to America. Now, Coming to America is in Brian's top 5.
Yes.
Trading Places is not in my top 5. It's
a
a respected movie, but I was, you know what I'm saying, I have a reason why it's not my top 5. But
okay,
tell me why you think Trading Places is Eddie Murphy's best movie.
Trading Places is Eddie Murphy's best movie because it's just like one of the greatest comedic performances of all time, especially in the 80s, like of the 80s, definitely.
Okay.
Like he was just hitting his stride, just came out of SNL. Like he starts it off as a bum with the no legs scam,
the finesse,
the super finesse, and that like, oh man, and the cops pull him up off the chair. Like, come on, man, that's like gold. Dan Aykroyd, when he bumps into Dan Aykroyd, it's like it's the most hilarious thing because you like we can all picture that happening to us and our like yeah.
So for me, I guess the reason why I don't necessarily look at Trading Places as my top 5 Eddie movie is because when I was younger, Dan Aykroyd was really big to me. Like I didn't see Eddie like in just the overall comedic world. I didn't see Eddie Murphy as like this gigantic figure, and Dan Aykroyd was all the way down here. Dan Aykroyd was A-list comedy movie, you know what I'm saying, type of guy because he was an SNL guy as well. Right. So that's my perspective. That's not the reality necessarily, but my perspective of it. So when I saw that movie, I didn't see an Eddie movie. I saw a Eddie and Dan Aykroyd movie.
Right. I mean, Eddie had the most screen time if you actually like look at
I think it was 60, 40, 70, 30 maybe as far as star power who was the lead of the movies, but
they developed it's actually a well, like if you just take it out of it, it's well paced. You develop Eddie, then you develop Dan first, and then you develop Eddie. You get Eddie's previous life, and then you get the plot twist, and you see it like build, and it's a well made movie, just period. But yeah, like I don't know. I didn't look at it like that because I mean Dan Aykroyd is obviously a movie comedy legend, like Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters,
Coneheads.
Wasn't he in Three Amigos?
Yeah,
no, that was Steve Martin. My bad. Okay, so
that's my movie.
I love Three Amigos. Why is that on? Where is that? It's on Netflix. It's on Prime. Come on, somebody step up.
I have it on DVD.
Yeah, somebody step up because I don't own DVDs no more. No, I just didn't see. I see it as I'm following Eddie. I'm not really following Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
So I hear you, but it's Eddie's movie to me.
So Trading Places. It's a great movie. Not debating the greatness of it.
And one of the funniest parts in Coming to America is based on Trading Places.
Settle your nerves. Settle your nerves.
Hey, look.
It is a small part of the movie, but it's not. I can name 10 funnier spots in that entire movie. Okay. This is why Coming to America is one of the greatest comedies of all time. Definitely Eddie's best movie.
Okay. His best movie. Okay.
By far.
So
from the beginning to the end, just from the royal penises, clean your highness, to him and Arsenio Hall's little stick fight, to the
montage,
to Vanessa Bell Calloway, woof, woof, to my man serenade him. She's your queen of bees. Come on, man. This is just like in the first 5 minutes of the movie. The first 5 minutes of the movie. Then you get to America, and he's like, yeah, take me take me to New York. And he goes to New York, and the second he gets there, he gets real. Yes, fuck you too. Like that was like I feel like the embodiment of who Eddie Murphy was at that time was in that movie. And I've named 5 spots already, and we didn't even get nowhere yet. The barbershop. Every barbershop scene was clutch. He played like 4 or 5 characters in it, and all of them were fire.
Yeah, the barbershop scene is a classic.
Them going to their apartment, and he's like, he's like, we need bigger accommodations. Yeah, it's a real shithole. That's a real shit. Like that was like the perfect super for a crappy apartment building.
Oh, that was yes. Coming to America, I can't fake like it's not like a 1A 1B situation.
It's not,
bro.
It's not.
Yeah, trading place. You are sleeping, bro. On the train scene, on the gorilla, and
that's a great scene. That's a great scene. But okay,
sell scene. Come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like,
you ain't never met Martin Luther King.
It was the Dukes.
You ain't never met Martin Luther King.
Oh my God.
You ain't never met
The
Martin Luther King.
barbershop scene is one of the top 3.
Goddamn, what you got here? It's just nothing but food. Oh boy, that ain't nothing but entrepreneur. Come on, man. Randy Watson.
No,
That's
actually I'm not a big fan of the fundraiser scene.
What?
I'm not really Central Chocolate.
What?
That doesn't make me laugh.
Doesn't make me laugh. That go good. It ain't good and terrible. Donation. I over here and kick your ass. Come on, man.
The old Eddie Arsenio and Eddie in the crowd was funny. Like Randy Watson's not funny.
But it's a classic scene because everybody sings. When people sing that song, they sing it the way Randy sings it. They don't sing it the way Whitney sang it. They sing it the way Randy sing it.
I mean, yeah, it's true. I just coming to America.
My name is Peaches, and now the best all the DJs want is to fill my breast. Hiccup.
It's number 2 on my list, bro. I can't. I'm not moving. Up. So is just yeah. I'm not moving off it to be number 2, man. It's not gonna move.
That's crazy. Coming to America.
If anything moves, it'd be Beverly Hills.
So what's your number? So Coming to America is your number 2.
It'd be my number 2.
My number 2 is Harlem Nights, because that's like comedy legend.
But you know why your logic doesn't fit for Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy? Harlem Nights is an ensemble cast.
It's why it's my number 2. It fits perfectly. That's why it's my number 2.
Okay. Yeah,
because by the time Harlem Nights came out, Eddie Murphy was clearly established as the go-to guy.
Yeah.
By the time Harlem Nights came out,
yeah.
he still was ascending when Trading Places came out, because he had like 5 movies.
He was just ascending. He was at the. Trading Places was his first.
He had like 5 movies at least between Trading Places.
Yeah.
And Harlem Nights.
By the time Harlem Nights came out, he was the comedy guy. Like it was bar none. Richard was basically handing him the torch with that movie.
Because you had 3 generations of GOAT status in that movie with
Red Fox, Harlem Nights, which Red Fox with
Richard Pryor. You had
Robin Harris.
Robin Harris is in there.
Charlie Murphy's in it. Arsenio's in it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Strong is in it.
Rest in peace.
Tommy Ford, I think. I'm getting
it. We know who it is.
Yeah.
You ain't got no job, man.
We're gonna get into that.
Let's break that down. We got Ronaldo Reyes in there. And he had a clutch scene in the beginning.
Yeah.
He's like, unless you're gonna buy from him, and I ain't selling, and I ain't buying either.
Della is in the movie.
Man.
Shot the pinky toe. You know what I mean?
Shot the pinky toe. You're fucking with heavyweight. Harlem Nights is just, man.
Harlem Nights. Now I got Harlem Nights.
That's when Layla Bashan was
A1.
She was
Certified.
she's still a queen.
Yes.
Right.
No,
she's
yeah,
still a queen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect her because
she's still a queen.
Yeah, don't.
But that's when she was. She
was in her prime.
In her prime, absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as beauty is concerned.
Yeah, still.
But as a person,
queen.
she's a queen now. So I don't want nobody to get that.
No disrespect, no Lily Vachon.
Because the Lily Vachon now still walk out here and turn heads.
Exactly.
If you haven't seen what she looked like 20 years ago.
Right. You just the comparison sometimes people
comparisons throw you off.
Yeah, but no disrespect.
So your number 3 is?
My number 3 is BHC1, which is Beverly Hills Cop the first one.
Okay, mine is Boomerang.
That's your number 4.
No, Boomerang.
Oh, okay. How long is it? Boomerang's your 3?
Yes. So here's the thing.
Okay.
People tell me that I have Boomerang high on my list, and I accept that. But with Boomerang, watching Eddie Murphy, watching who Eddie Murphy was, Eddie Murphy didn't come off to me like some sex symbol. Mm-hmm. He wasn't really like a true sex symbol. He was a funny dude. Chicks that would like him, oh, I hit him because he's funny. I like his personality. Nobody said he was like, you know what I'm saying, oh my God, So it's I related to that person where it's when I was younger, it's oh, you're not really, you know what I'm saying, the one they're looking at for, he's sex appeal, but personality. So for him to be able to go and play a role where he's the A1 alpha sex symbol that all the ladies want, he getting all the ladies.
Yeah.
That was always my type of movie anyway. I had friends who was watching, you know what I'm saying, gangster movies and stuff. I want to watch the movies where it's a smooth, Billy D. Williams type vibes. And he gave you that Billy D.
Yeah,
and he started off the movie, you know what I'm saying,
just
running through him. Just running through him.
He pulls up the car. He pulls up the car and see Robin's.
You got a movie where he got Robin Givens, he got Tisha Campbell, he got Layla Vachon, and he get Halliburton.
And Urban Kid.
And he had Grace Jones on his line.
Oh, and Grace Jones.
He had Grace Jones on his line.
Yeah.
And who knows how many other joints just that you could tell the legend of Marcus Graham.
Yeah.
Said Marcus Graham got them all. And then it was funny. And Martin's my guy, David Allegre's my guy.
Yeah.
And they helped make that movie so funny.
Can we segue just real quick, because we're going to talk about 90s comedy.
Okay.
Since we're bringing up Boomerang and saying David Allen Greer is a underrated
Super
legend.
underrated.
He's still working 2019, still in sitcoms, still getting calls. From Living Color to 2019 to have that legacy is amazing. I respect. I actually tweeted this months ago.
He was still in scenes. He never got a leading role in any movie.
Right. But
he stole scenes. Even in Boomerang, when they working out on the exercise pitch, and Martin's talking smack to him, he starts pumping. He starts pumping.
Even
I'm
then,
yo.
Let's go to Martin's show. David Allen Greer, the pastor,
Reverend Lonnie Love, man.
Damn
it, mine eyes. Yeah. David Allen Greer. But David Allen Greer and Tommy Davidson, both those guys from 11 Color were underrated,
super
slept
underrated
on, and they probably had some demons in their way, slowing them down. But I'm pretty sure some other people just played the game a little better than they did, and that's why they didn't get the opportunity. Some people, because Tommy Davidson, what he did on Martin,
the 2 episodes he was in was hilarious. Plus Woo.
Did you miss me?
Ronell. He shit on Martin. That was one of the best episodes.
You know what? I was just happy to see that Martin got the last impression. Tommy Davidson dominated those 2 episodes, but to have Martin come on at the end with Jodeci, give it like a bomb. That was classic for me. And I was but I love that appearance by Tommy Davidson.
Okay, let's push Martin back to the side. So okay, so your number 3
is Boomerang.
I love Boomerang.
And you know what another thing is because you know how I'm big on music. Babyface is one of the ghosts to me, and Babyface had his imprint on that soundtrack, and it's the songs that they used, music just makes scenes.
Yeah. So
to have those songs, when him and Halle had that riff because he went and hit Robin.
Yeah.
When they had that Tony Braxton record come, it just fit so perfectly, and I was like, oh, I love this movie.
Soundtrack is the all time.
Oh yeah. So so your number 3 is
my number 3 is Beverly Hills Cop.
That's my number 4.
Okay, so hold on. It's number 3 because it spawned a whole franchise.
Won't argue with you because I won't argue with you on it because if it was unanimous that I had to move Boomerang to number 4 and put Beverly Hills Cop at number 3, I would. But just so happens that it's just my number 4.
Okay.
It's my number 4.
Beverly Hills Cop was so like important because it's not even like a white black buddy cop movie. It's like him, like
you don't think so?
No, not really, because it's him coming up on those two throughout.
Well,
I
guess part 2 was more of a buddy.
That was more of a buddy joint.
Yeah.
Like at the end, they were tagging along each cop. Like the Nana and the Tailpipe, all those was playing on those white dudes. He kept getting up on those white dudes, and like that's one of the fun. Like that was maybe a little rare to see in that time. It was in 1984 or something like that. In 1985, like 3 when those movies came out. But
man, it was a great. Beverly Hills Cop is all time. And if you're listening to this or watching this right now and you've never seen Beverly Hills Cop or you're just not familiar with it, do yourself a favor.
Get familiar.
Matter of fact, put it like this.
Get sharp.
Any movie that we mention,
get sharp.
Go see it.
Get sharp.
Period. Don't have an opinion until you go see it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched the collection of Eddie movies that we're about to talk, where we are talking about, man, you are missing out on comedy gold. You're depraving yourself of a bunch of laughs that you definitely need to go see. Then this is excluding Raw and Delirious.
Absolutely.
That's getting kind of a little bit controversial, but
my number 5.
Okay, your number 4 was Beverly Hills Cop 1, right? All right, so my number 4 was Another 48 Hours.
That's my number 5.
Okay.
That's my number 5.
See, it's funny. That's why we're friends. So like.
And the thing about it, you're right, because a lot of you'd be surprised how many people haven't seen Another 48 Hours.
Another 48 Hours is him being the mastermind. Like 40 Hours was Nick Nolte's movie. Another 48 Hours is Eddie Murphy's.
And that's it's funny because you have how the dynamic changed. Mm-hmm. You don't really get a chance to watch that happen a lot of times. A lot of times they'll still try to force the former, you know what I'm saying, headliner to be the headliner. It's like, and just watch them just miserably get up stage. It's like, all right, let me get out the way and let this guy be the guy. But still gave Nick Nolte the chance to have his gritty performance. And they just both of them played their roles so perfectly.
Absolutely. And like Another 48 Hours is just a gritty, R-rated action movie with a bunch of comedy. It's still
Freshxdesign.
And the concert scene with where he goes smashes the joint in the bathroom.
We're in the club.
In the club, and that was one of the funniest.
That's when Nick Nolte got his ass beat.
Them punching Nick Nolte in the face.
Hey man, what you do that for? Nick Nolte's voice just makes anything for me. Like he needs to be doing voice casting now.
To this day.
I want to see Nick Nolte do a young girl in an animated series and have the regular voice. Talking like this.
The MCU should definitely try to find a CGI character for him.
So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is BHC2.
Okay. Oh, you got it right. Okay.
Well, I have Another 48. I said 1 and 40 Hours and then 2.
So you got both of them in your top 5.
Yeah,
which is understandable.
Out of the 5 plus the one your Harlem Nights, I watch Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2.
I used to always watch them back to back.
Yeah,
I used to watch them back to back.
I watch them over and over again, like back to back. So it's kind of like they belong together. I can't really take one and say, oh, this other one's not in my top 5. I think Beverly Hills Cop might have bigger laughs than one did.
I think the main reason why I watched them back to back is because they came out before I was really watching like movies on my own. Mm-hmm. So when I finally got the chance to put in movies that I wanted to watch, like I would watch them, but my memories, like sometimes I always used to have to, early on, I used to have to watch them to see what scene was from what movie. That's how closely connected they were.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to my Trading Places. The other thing that makes Trading Places number one is the Jamie Lee Curtis scene.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis, by the way. Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing,
and it's not on the It's not on the TNT, the Jones. So I grew up watching the made for TV edit. You know what I mean? But then I got to see the you know what I mean, the raw uncut Jones. And I was like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is naked. Okay, yeah, this might be number one.
That's
this
number.
Jones.
So Vanessa Del Calloway had to get naked for that to be the number one for Coming to America.
Yes,
number one?
Come on. Yeah, she definitely should have. She could have put it over the top, and that would have been, Vanessa Bell Calloway still looks damn near the same. She's underrated as far as top dimes.
So this is what I want you to give me. I want you to give me a honorable mention.
Okay.
And your least favorite Eddie movie, or your most, or what Eddie Murphy movie you think is the most overrated?
Oh, wasn't
it? Could be either one, just the worst or the overrated. However you pitch it. But what's your honorable mention?
You have it in your 5. I'm gonna have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
So Harlem Nights is in my honorable mentions. It's 6.
Okay.
It's gotta be there. And then my honorable mention number 2, which I'm gonna talk about, is Golden Child.
Okay.
Reason Golden Child has a special place in my life because I went to see that movie. Like it was like Eddie Murphy. Oh,
back in the day, there's something. I think that's a lost feeling. Like now, people don't have that feeling anymore. Where it's like when you remember going, because you're so commonplace. You go to the movies every week now. They don't have the same feeling. But back then, it's like you went to maybe once. So you sometimes went to a movie once a year. Right. So it's like when you went, if you remember who you went with, right. You remember what you had. Yeah, what you wore that day sometime. Like you remember, it was a whole day, like it was like a birthday. Yeah, you remember it.
Especially if you got the full price movie. Like my mom's was like, we go to a movie, but we going to see it when it's 6-7 months and it was in the $5 jump. You know what I mean? The $2.50 jump, whenever it was back then. We got to see that jump full price, and it was like, yeah, it's something special.
So why is Golden Child? Well, what about Golden Child made you list it then?
Golden Child, it was an Eddie Murphy action. It's a Eddie Murphy vehicle. It's Eddie Murphy being Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
So it's definitely funny. But it might have been like going back. It's dated. Like you go back and see.
I think that was the problem for me. I think because for some reason people used to talk about Golden Child like it was like a really good movie. I think it was because they just liked Eddie, but nobody had it. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't get a chance to see it in the theater, nobody had it on VHS at the time. So like by the time I finally got to see it, it was like the graphic, the quality of the movie was just. I'm like I couldn't sit through it.
It was He-Man level cheap on the graphics. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that because I feel that way about He-Man. I saw that and I remember going to the movie to see He-Man in there, just glued to the seat and the screen, didn't move. Didn't blink, watched it from beginning to end, and both of the adults that was with me was asleep 5 minutes in.
I love He-Man the movie.
They were 5, and then and the thing about it is I watched it in the theater. I didn't see that movie again until I was an adult. Yeah. And I didn't see it on TV. What happened was I ended up telling one of my friends, a good friend of mine, that I'd seen this movie and I hadn't seen it. I want to see it again. She ended up getting me the DVD as like a Christmas gift or something like that. And I watched it and I was like, wow.
This bad. This is a bad movie.
It is a really, really, really bad. It was worse than blaxploitation movies at its worst.
Yeah, the worst of the worst black.
It was worse than that. Like
I mean, Flash
the cinematography of that movie was bad.
It's Flash Gordon bad. Like it's not even like.
And I still didn't care.
Right, you still watch it. I've watched it like 5 or 6 times. Yeah. It's over my lifetime. If it's on TV, I'll probably watch it, but it's never on TV, so because it's that bad. So that's what Golden Child is just like a.
Yo, you realize Dolph Lundgren has been the Punisher, He-Man, Drago.
He's put himself.
He got a couple. He got a couple other people on his belt too, though. He's been a couple other people.
Shit, Bama's just in Aquaman. He's still doing it. He's still doing. He was in Arrow.
No, but he was these people though.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was.
no, he was.
He-Man. He was the Punisher.
The Punisher
He's
movie.
Drago.
The Punisher movie. His
Dolph
Punisher
Lundgren
movie
is a
funny.
goat out here whole time, man.
Yeah, we need to give him his roses.
He need to stop making these directed these DVD movies and get some live action
yeah,
stuff.
he needs they need to respect my man with the same, same levels they got Kurt Russell and.
So my honorable mention before you give your least favorite or most overrated A movie. Mm-hmm. My honorable mention movie had, because I feel like I don't like, if I was to do a top 10, Beverly Hills Cop 2 would be in my list. I think a lot of people don't know about Distinguished Gentleman. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. But there it is. My honorable mention for Eddie Murphy movie, I'm going to make it Vampire in Brooklyn. Okay. Because
I slept on.
And Charlie Murphy wrote that movie, by the way.
Wow. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Because I feel like it's slept on. That's a slept on movie, I think, because it's like you got a comedy guy doing a vampire movie. Because
it was a straight up vampire movie. It wasn't like
vampire. That's a legit genre. So you really don't, like, at the time you really didn't have anybody doing like a comedy version of a vampire movie. But it really, it had humorous moments because I think
some of it, if you look at it
Kadeem
now,
Hardison, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny. Yeah. And Eddie's funny, so it had elements of funny, but I don't think it was a funny movie, but it was a good movie. It's a really good vampire movie. Yeah. But they don't mention it a lot. So it's my honorable mention.
All right. And that's what's up. I like I think I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. I'm not the my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, but it's definitely as far as the genre is concerned, a good piece. Like you can watch it. There's some things in there like it's from 92 or 93, so it's a little dated too. But you can definitely pop that in on a horror. No, it's not really. It's not scary.
It can scare some people,
but
some people scare out here.
You can hit easily. Like that Night with a Vampire, and then you can mix it up in a like a vampire movie.
So what's your overrated Eddie movie?
Overrated,
or you just don't like it?
Well, I was gonna say the worst Eddie Murphy movie is Pluto Nash. It's just a bad movie. I can't really say too much about it.
I think after like 96, maybe
after Metro, it was
even you can even put Metro in that list. That's if you want to.
But Metro was like, let me try to do.
I'm saying you can put it in there if you want to, or it can be on a fence.
Right. I think that's like the.
But the thing about it is, I didn't have a problem with Beverly Hills Cop 3. It just wasn't. It was just because by the time that came out, Eddie was already in he's not the same Eddie category anymore. So it was like for the latter part of Eddie Murphy, it was an alright movie. Mm-hmm. But he had a couple good movies or like good performances in between them. But he started making these kid-esque movies these trial and error movies, like you said, Pluto Nash.
He was writing his stuff
and Dr. Dolittle and 1,000 Words.
Nutty Professor.
Wait a minute. I like Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor 1 is okay.
Listen, we don't like Janet Jackson in part 2. I don't understand why they switched from Jada to Janet.
So I asked for more money.
So you gave it the role. I think they wanted to get Janet on the goddamn soundtrack, so they gave her the movie.
That sounds like
they wanted to sell records. I don't know, but it wasn't a bad movie. I think Eddie, because he's so talented playing roles, I just thought those movies were funny, and it was an early glimpse of Dave Chappelle. And I thought when he was in there cooking,
that was the best part of that movie.
When he was fat, that was hilarious.
That was in 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like 1. 2 is the one that's like, okay, they didn't need to. They didn't need
but
to.
the movie, I mean, I think because I don't relate to it. I think Golden Child would probably be my overrated Eddie movie.
It was like once it left, like after the theaters, I would agree that it's overrated, but I think because it was so rare, people didn't really get their hands on it. Like you were saying, I couldn't find it. Nobody had the VHS. It wasn't on HBO back then, so it was kind of like it got lost in the Eddie Murphy collection.
So, taking the lead from Eddie Murphy playing characters,
right?
We got to talk about Martin.
Okay, that was a big deal over the week of our discussions.
Yeah. So what we did, we had a bracket. Bracket challenge for Martin. Martin's played characters.
Yeah. He
played 9 characters in total on the show, not including Martin Payne.
Right.
So he had Shanae, he had Mama Payne, Elroy, he had King Beef, Roscoe, Jerome, Old Otis, Dragonfly Jones, and he played Bob. And
Bob the cohort.
And we had a competition to see who won. So when I did it, I based it on Facebook and Instagram polls. So Dragonfly Jones ended up going up against Jerome and ended up winning.
Okay.
Ended up winning.
I can't be mad at that. Dragonfly Jones's impact on that show, even if it was only 3 episodes. Only 3 episodes, but they're one of the 3 most memorable scenes and shows out of that series. Like Roscoe was an inch. Like, I mean, he was in a bunch of characters,
he had some scenes,
a bunch of episodes, and it was like, okay, I didn't like looking at him as a kid, so it wasn't funny. Like the interactions with Gina, everybody that interacted with Gina as far as they're trying to be funny, that wasn't Martin. It didn't connect with me. So that's Shanae also. So
the first competition was King Beef versus Elroy. If you're not familiar with King Beef, people like, who's King Beef? It's because you never really saw Martin playing King Beef in real life. King Beef was a fictional character of blaxploitation that he was like Cole's favorite actor, so Cole would be over Martin's house watching King Beef. And it literally be like 30 seconds. It'd be like, oh, I must save the world, but first, I must dance. Go King Beef, go King Beef, go King Beef. And that was all of it. But it was like, I remember singing that song so much. It's like, I like King Beef. and Elroy is similar, where it's like, he didn't really have a lot of sings.
Don't you know no good?
He was like the mechanic who used to be a singer. So like, you remember because all he kept singing was, don't you know no good, 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 don't you know? Like, I like them both, but they were going up against Shanae. Whichever one of them in the play-in was going up against Shanae, so it was a losing battle. Yeah, so the Martin play character bracket was definitely a fun exercise. I had Elroy beating King Beef too, because I don't remember. He reminded me of King Beef. I had to look at a clip of the show to remember. I had King Beef beating Elroy. Okay. I had Elroy. Elroy, that episode, the Gina gets stuck wherever she was. Yeah. Episode was still a funny episode. It was one of the, I think they were one of the ones that was separate, where Gina wasn't talking to Martin at the particular. No, it couldn't have been because because it was when Jana and Martin. They were together. That was before they had the. But again they went against Shanae, and Shanae just had too many scenes, too much appearances for them to really beat Shanae. Because Shanae had Shanae didn't have it. Think about it is people. I think people took Shanae for granted, but she didn't have any what bad scenes Shanae had. Like Shanae was always in funny scenes. Yeah. Like just from the beginning with her little interactions with Pam and Gina in the hallways was always fire. Shanae with Gina and Pam was always funny. Always. But Shanae with just Gina falls flat. But Gina was one of the weaker characters when Gina was working at her hair salon. That was one of the funnier episodes. And she had to change her hair out. That was funny. But no, I like one of my favorite Shanae scenes was when they was at the talent show when it was her and Yo like go yo hit it, and he started. That was a good one.
Right, one of the best Shanae episodes was the
Take
one
it to the head, kid.
Was the blind date with Kid?
Yeah, when she was flirting with Kid. That was a great Shanae was good. So then we had Jerome versus Roscoe, and of course Jerome was beating Roscoe.
Yeah, that was.
Then you had Mama Payne versus Bob. Everybody wasn't crazy about Mama Payne. I think they again another one where it's like she's just playing a regular esque role for a lot of times, and you just forget that she had some spot, man. Like the church scene when she was doing the flips and she bit the goddamn banister. Mm-hmm. That was a hilarious one. Like the way she used to get on Gina all the time, man.
The episode, this is the funniest Mama Payne episode to me, was when Gina killed her bird.
That was a great episode.
You killed my bird. You killed my bird.
I just like the fact that when she talk about Gina, I take it here and I take it here. I take it here and I take it here. Like Mama Payne was good. And then Bob only had like a few scenes. This whole damn party's out of control.
But that's what is good about Bob, because just like Dragonfly Jones, there's 5 seasons of Martin. He's probably in 2 episodes, but those episodes you can't forget.
This is what I had to come down to. It's like if you're not like a diehard Martin TV show fan and you just watch Martin, you might have seen Bob. If you didn't hear somebody else tell you say his name in passing, you wouldn't have known what the name of that character was.
True.
For a long time, you was like, "Oh, did you see Martin play the white dude?" Mm-hmm. You didn't know his name, and you had to as time grew, you found out his name was Bob.
Yeah, because we've all watched these episodes probably like 50 times.
So
then you know how to order.
Then the toughest bracket was probably the oldest versus Dragonfly Jones bracket.
You asshole for that one.
That was a tough bracket. That was a 3 versus 6 right there. So 3 versus 6 is a tough bracket in general. So
facts.
Most people Dragonfly Jones ended up winning the bracket based on the polls, but it was the closest one.
Right.
Because in Facebook, oldest actually won. But he only won by 1 vote. Mm. Whereas in Instagram, Dragonfly won unanimously. It was like 82% of the votes was Dragonfly Jones.
Anybody had like funny comments?
I think my brother he hit me up about Jerome. he was talking about Jerome and how he thought Jerome was the funniest person. And
there's a good case for Jerome.
And
I have Jerome. Oh, and in my personal bracket, I have Jerome.
The Shanae versus Jerome in that third round. In the third round, Shanae versus Jerome. When people were picking Shanae over Jerome, I had a few friends like, what do people talk about? Jerome is way funnier than Shanae. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Jerome won the bracket, but it was like, how do you even win that one? Like, it's crazy to me.
Jerome, like the Players Ball is an all-time episode.
So I said that I figured
and Jerome takes Pam out on the date.
Dragonfly won, but to be honest with you, I feel like the Dragonfly beating Jerome is like your prestigious college who's always in it. Got the number 1 seed.
Getting beat by George Mason.
Not necessarily George Mason. Yeah, like George Mason in a way, where they got all the way to the finals and got tripped up by the new hot team type of thing. Mm-hmm. Where it's like Dragonfly didn't have a lot of scenes. Like he was like a really small character on scale, but he just stole it. He just stole the way he stole those scenes. Whereas Jerome didn't really steal because he was given more of a platform. Mm-hmm. He doesn't come off as a scene stealer as much. Mm-hmm. But he had some when he had his big show when they had the warehouse, like they took my gold toothpaste, jug in the trunk, like all his catch sayings, the players ball.
Jerome in the house.
Jerome was I love Jerome, man. Jerome was a good one, man. And if I wouldn't have been surprised if Jerome would have won it all, but it was just Dragonfly, man. I think that one scene when he was by the ATM machine and he got his ass beat by Kenji. And the Bama, he made a whole spectacle out of himself. And then, like I said, when he went to the ATM machine and dialed 911 with the keypad, that took the cake for everybody right there, bro.
Yeah,
that took the cake.
Those two scenes, then him trying to teach them self defense and getting his ass whooped each time. It's one of those, like, they leave an imprint on you. Dragonfly Jones. Otis, I love Otis. Like, to me, it's Otis versus Jerome in my personal genre.
I think it was just good I think we needed Martin at the time. We definitely needed that show because because prior to that, the only thing we had on TV that was in that vein was with In Living Color and with the Wayans brothers, like, gave us In Living Color, and it went off air. And it was like, man, what do we got next? I mean, granted, we had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but it was a cleaner version of just the black comedy. It was a great show. We love, you know what I'm saying, Fresh Prince. We hold it there, but it's like people often compare, like, which one is who you like. Like no self-respecting person is going to pick the Fresh Prince over Martin. It just can't happen.
Fresh Prince, I love Fresh Prince. I don't really want to pit them against each other. I do want to praise Martin's show because sitcoms was super cookie cutter. Like, you take Family Matters, all the plot, you can get plots from What's Happening and back in the Family Ties, and you can still, like, find those same plots.
I used to have older black folk tell me how they didn't like Martin's show. They used to hate it because all he was doing was recycling Flip Wilson and this, that, and the third. But my thing is, I'm like, listen, those guys had their time, but see, like, Martin made Fox.
Yeah,
like outside of, like, The Simpsons coming on and Married with Children, which Married with Children got marginal ratings, but it was a cult classic. Yeah. It's like we just knew it was there, so we just go watch it.
Fox reran those episodes for years at like 11:30 after the 10 o'clock news.
So it's like Married with Children, we watched it and we loved it, but Martin set up for, like, cause Martin made that spot for Living Single to come in, like, I think they came in like a season or two after Martin came out, and it was like just had a Martin come on at 8 o'clock. And then Living Single come on at 8:30. Like, that was our hour for the week.
Shoot, and then New York Undercover for a while came out after that.
That was the 9 o'clock show. They had an hour episode.
Like, TV broadcast stations were good for building their stations on or their brands on the back of black TV, and then bringing the white counterparts back.
I mean, that's what ruined. I mean, matter of fact, Channel Fox was the home for the In Living Color as well.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So, and then that same thing happened where it's like the first couple seasons they got to flex their muscles the way they wanted to.
Then the Suits came in.
They started trying to add stuff and add people, and it's, I mean, to be honest with you, people blame that, but it's also hard to continue to find, like, you can't replace Jamie Foxx. No. You can't replace Jim Carrey. No. You can't replace Damon Wayans. No. So when you have Damon Wayans, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx,
David Allen Greer, who we mentioned earlier,
David Allen Greer, you have those guys leave. Mm-hmm. It's hard to replace. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't, like, and they, don't get me wrong, the comedians that they had take part in the show after the fact were quality, but it's not the same. It wasn't the same. But, I mean,
you need to execute, like, In Living Color, a variety show like that, or sketch show, needs great writing and great execution. And it needs to hit. Like, so kind of, like, Keenan put together that show. That was a once in a lifetime.
I have a lot of people who take a dump on Marlon Wayans a lot, and they really, I had somebody say they're just not a fan of the Wayans brothers, period. And I'm like, man, you I don't know how. Like I've been watching them. I mean, the Wayans brothers have been giving it to you since they are the master of the parody.
Yes.
The spoof movie. That's their. I mean, I'm gonna get you sucker.
from there.
I mean, I don't like.
So we segued into 90s comedy. Like we gotta give Keenan and the Wayans family their props.
I'm gonna get you sucker. Man, that movie is a classic. It should be on TV like randomly tonight and just you like, oh man, look what's on TV.
When I was a kid,
I'm gonna get you suckers on.
Yeah, it used to be.
Like, it was so great.
Yeah, it used to be on, and it needs to be on every streaming channel. Another one that needs to be.
Like, I don't like as genius as Keenan is. I don't know how more work doesn't get output from this guy. Like, I mean, he had his hand in all the Wayans Brothers movies.
I don't know. I think he should have
Low Down because I like Keenan in front of the camera, man. Low Down Dirty Shame was. I love that movie.
Yeah, no doubt. I think for whatever reason, I think what I think is I thought this a while ago. Like, why wasn't Keenan Tyler Perry? Like, why? How did that come together for them that they had their own studio, that they're putting out their own movies or whatever? I don't know. I mean, Keenan, you don't know the insides out. I think hopefully there's a memoir coming out. You know what I mean? At some point.
I mean, just strategies. I mean, opportunities. You got. I mean, sometimes things aren't available at the time. I think Tyler Perry, granted he did make movies, but he made his name in the chilling circuit with, as a playwright and having those plays, and he did his thing in the play, and he had.
No, I'm just. He
said forget it, and he went and built his own thing. And you may not like a lot of his movies. You may not like any of his movies, but man,
you gotta respect
the guy. He has done a lot for the black cinema.
A linchpin in 90s comedy. Nobody really gives his flowers a little bit like last couple of years, but Robert Townsend.
Oh yeah.
Hollywood Shuffle. Media Man.
Oh my goodness.
I went to see Media Man.
Media Man was. We would watch that like over and over again. It was just so funny. Media Man.
Robert Townsend don't get that love that he probably should. Like,
5 Heartbeats is like one of our most dearest movies.
5 Heartbeats is a classic.
It's one of our dearest movies, man.
And I just like that. We can't like end the 90s comedy discussion.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense you bring in Robert Thomas because him and Keenan are pretty much like best friends.
Yeah. That's why.
They've been like they were tight since the beginning.
You gotta talk about, if you talk about Keenan, you gotta talk about Robert Townsend, I think.
So we used to have the conversation. Like at first, it was like, who you think was the funniest? Wayne. It was like it was Damon or Keenan, and then Marlon. Like for like a good 3 years, he was like he just skyrocketed past both. Like he was just the youngins just made him. And, I mean, 6 Man. What's the one when he was when he had got the allergic reaction to the sensibility or something? I think it was called sensibility. Senseless.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, he was just a really good physical comedian.
Yeah, he still is.
And it's like that. He found his way to be different. I mean, because it was one thing to be funny, but you can't really just be funny when you in a funny family. You gotta be different.
Yeah.
And
he had his own style.
And that was he had his own style, and he made his own way in that sense. And Marlon Wayans has continued to work and improve upon his craft. Like I my hat went off to him when he just did this last movie. It was like, people may have an opinion on it, whether or not they liked it or not, but to be the star, the co-star, the third act, like he played.
I haven't seen that joke.
He played a lot, and I think it wasn't that bad. I think he did a pretty good job.
His special wasn't that bad either. It wasn't the worst. Like it was okay.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah,
it was
bad.
Just like, oh, okay, Marlon's doing stand up.
Like
I've heard him talk about it, but now I've actually seen him do one.
It was. I wouldn't go. I think he was here doing that circuit.
Like, it depends on the situation. I would probably go see Marlon. I would probably go see Marlon do stand up.
And Damon Wayans Jr. is out there now. Damian Wayans is out there now. Saw Tiffany Haddish got another Damon Wayans.
Their cousin. Yeah, she tells her story just being like a cousin of them. Like, yeah, they over there, then I'm over here.
Yeah, I'm over here. So they're like a gift that keeps on giving for black comedy.
I mean, Damon Wayans, man, Major Payne.
Major Payne is one of my favorites.
Blank Man, Mo Money.
Homie the Clown, just as the character.
even in the underground when he did Mr. Grumpy. If you never seen the underground, you get a chance to find a clip of it on YouTube or just surfing the net. And when he did the underground, he had a sketch comedy show on. Yeah, he had a sketch comedy show for about like a season on Showtime. I mean, it was. I mean, imagine them doing Home of the Clown now. It wouldn't last long because the cancel, you know what I'm saying, scene would try to get him out of here unless you clean it up. And like, if you clean it up, then you don't really have anything because he was a rude clown, busting people out of their head. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Grumpy was sort of like that in a way, but it was just raw. It was just raw, and I love Mr. Grumpy. But Major Payne.
Let's talk about Major Payne.
Major Payne, man, that is the one. Like David Wayne. No, David Wayne's was. People don't. I think people just don't. You gotta appreciate.
Shout out to Karen Parsons.
You gotta appreciate the ghosts of your times, and he was because to be honest with you, The Last Boy Scout was one of my favorite. Because Bruce Willis is like my favorite guy. Like I love